Tell me whether they see the record button or not.
Yes.
Got it.
Recording.
Okay.
If we go like this, it's not.
All right. Let's
I'll do a Carol Burnett.
let's go ahead and start this thing, and we'll get going here because I know the mayor has to be out of here at some point. So here we go. 3, 2. Hello, I'm Stacy Smith, and welcome to another edition of Around the Table, Politics 2020. This is where we discuss the political side of things and some other thoughts as well. To paraphrase Rod Stewart, tonight's the night. Everything's going to be all right. Well, maybe at least for one of the candidates. Tonight is the first presidential debate, and there's been a lot of speculation as to whether this debate will change any minds. So let's talk about this with our group of panelists. To delve into this, we're going to joining us is former Pennsylvania Governor Tom Corbett. He also served as State Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney for Western District of Pennsylvania. Governor Corbett teaches law now at Duquesne University. On the other side of the table is a former chairman of the State Democratic Party, Jim Byrne. Jim also served as the chairman of the Allegheny County Council and as mayor of Millvale. Jim is an attorney here in Pittsburgh. Going back across the table to the Republican side is Chris Fry. Chris has a unique perspective on politics. He's the mayor of Newcastle, which gives him some insight on how federal and state governments actually work on the local level. He's also in an area of Pennsylvania that helped Donald Trump win the presidency 4 years ago. The Democrats would like to take back that area. Going back to the Democratic side of the table, we find Amanda Green Hawkins. Amanda served as a national committee woman representing Pennsylvania to the Democratic Party. Amanda also served on Allegheny County Council and is currently an attorney for a major union based here in Pittsburgh. Back to the Republican side, we find Keith Schmidt. Keith's political background is strong, dating back to the Reagan campaign in 1980. Keith was the state director for former Republican Senator Rick Santorum. He was also an advisor to Santorum's 2012 presidential campaign. Keith right now has his own consulting firm here in Pittsburgh. Now we turn to the great philosopher of Around the Table, Joe Mystic. Joe is a familiar name in Democratic politics across the state. He has served in several roles in city government for the city of Pittsburgh and also served as deputy mayor for the city. Joe teaches law at Duquesne University, and you can read his weekly column on politics and life in the Trib. So now let us begin our discussion. And Keith, I am going to begin with you. You've been looking forward to this debate for months. So what do you expect to happen, and why have you been looking forward to it?
Well, hold on to your hats. It is the Kentucky Derby of politics. This is Ali Foreman. I mean, it's a matter of fact that it'll be the most watched debate in presidential history. And that will break the first debate 4 years ago when 84 million tuned into the Clinton-Trump debate. And it's also worth noting that there are 3 debates, and they're all important, but nothing's more important than the first debate. The audience will fall off for the next 2 debates. So it is another reason why tonight is particularly important. And also, it's the first time that there is, in this very unorthodox year, that there is somewhat of a return to normalcy for the American public viewing this debate. Biden has been largely in his basement. There's no retail politics going on, a lot of packaging of the candidates, prepared speeches. This will be the first time, and this is what people are used to seeing, two individuals vying for the highest office in the land, answering the same questions without notes, without teleprompters in a 90-minute session. So that's pretty exciting in and of itself. What will I be looking for? I think America loves offense. So I'm going to see who's on offense and who's backpedaling. As far as Trump's concerned tonight, I think he has to look presidential. And he also has to effectively answer the criticism of the Democratic Party lodged on him by this pandemic. And not only answer that question effectively, but be able to pivot to the economy in this 90-minute discussion. And if you give the president blame, then he also has to get credit. And unlike his opponent, who was a senator and a vice president, he was never president of the United States. So the president can squarely take credit for the economy that he created in his first 3 years, and he has to make the argument that he can do it again if given the opportunity. As far as his opponent's concerned, Mr. Biden, he's got to keep his wits about him for 90 minutes. I mean, there's the expectation. Can he perform without notes, without a teleprompter? Is America ready? And he's going to have to make the argument that America is ready for an 82-year-old president of the United States. So I'll be looking to see if he is overly rehearsed. Does he repeat himself with the same facts time and time again? And then finally, there's going to be a moment. I don't know what that moment is. I mean, we tape for 30 minutes every week, and you guys play a clip on the newscast. And there's going to be an exchange tonight at some point that is going to be pivotal. And people are going to comment on that at the coffee shops and at the office and on Zoom calls, and they're going to lead the news with it. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be interesting, and I'm going to be at a front row seat to see who has the upper hand in that moment tonight on television.
All right, Keith, thank you. We're out of time now, everybody else.
He covered it.
Covered it all.
I'm
Go.
going up next.
All right. Amanda, what are your thoughts? I'm sure you totally agree with Keith.
Oh yeah,
That's it.
totally. But the thing is, I don't think it's as much about their position on issues as much as it is about showmanship. And the question is, who's going to give that performance that people are looking for? You know, you have the Democrats, of course, rooting for Biden. You have Republicans, of course, rooting for Trump. And then you have a few undecideds who are looking at who's going to perform the best, who looks more presidential, who looks the strongest on issues of concern to most people. And that's really what it's about. I really don't think it's going to change anyone's minds about where they are and who they support. I think it's about people being proud of their candidate and how they do on the stage tonight. And I think Biden will do just fine. He's had lots of experience in politics, and I think that he will, rehearsed or not, I think he will be able to answer the questions well and coherently, and he will do something that the president has a hard time doing, staying on point, staying on message. I think he will do just fine. In the age of 82, come on. Both of them are senior citizens by any standard, and the idea that Biden is more vulnerable or doesn't have his faculties about him, I think is lost when you compare him to the president, who does as much or even more on a daily basis than we see happening with Vice President Biden. So I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm looking forward to Vice President Biden showing Keith who the real man to win is.
All right. I know that the Mayor Chris Fry might have to leave us a little earlier than everybody else. So, Mayor, your thoughts?
I think it's going to be fun, man. I posted some news things on social media and got a big response on, some of the upcoming questions and things to pay attention to that are going to be addressed in this debate. The tax bill or Trump's tax bill, and then also Trump's plan, the platinum plan that he just put out. And just want to get the folks on the ground that are following me on social media, get some of their insight. And tonight's debate, I think they each have a considerable amount of things to bring up, to throw blows at, to just fight back and forth about. But what I heard a lot from the people is just, who's able to deliver and who's going to deliver on those things. I think President Trump has a position that will show his ability as president. He has facts, he has numbers. His divisiveness is still in question, and I'm sure Biden's going to use that as some ammo. He's going to throw some punches at that. But I think what it boils down to is did President Trump got stuff done over in his first term with job creation, with the economy, with supporting Black communities. I think so. They're really going to be in it to fight back and forth. And I don't know where Trump's going to go with it. You read and you hear a lot of stuff, but I think he should just focus on his accomplishments. We all see, what's going on with Biden. We hear it. He is 82. He's been in politics for 47 years. We've seen this happen. We recognize and hear what he's been able to accomplish over this time. But I just think we just hang our hats on, the accomplishments that we had. We just hope for another 8 years. And I don't know, people aren't, they're just debating what do we see happen? Are these things, the platinum plan, are these, is the mail-in ballots, are they really going to be something on both sides? So the platinum plan on the Republican side, mail-in ballots, it's kind of like a Democratic push. They want to know which party or who's going to actually yield results. And I think that I think Biden's going to be grabbing at some stuff, and I think President Trump is going to easily say, depict and show what his results were over 4 years.
All right, Mayor, thank you. Let's bring in the former state Democratic Party Chairman Jim Byrne at this point. You had to herald candidates through a bunch of debates. Your thoughts about tonight?
The most important person on that stage tonight is going to be the moderator, Fox News commentator, Chris Wallace. And he is the perfect person for this first debate. He's a no-nonsense pragmatist who calls it like he sees it. He's a chess master. He has studied the film. He knows the issues. He knows the facts. And more importantly, he knows the fiction. He does not suffer fools wisely, as evidenced by the way he calls out Donald Trump every time he tries to behave unprofessionally in an interview. If Mr. Trump tries any of that chicanery tonight, any of those deflections, misrepresentations, or flat out lies, like he's been doing for the last 3.5 years, Chris Wallace will not hesitate to call him out almost instantly. Conversely, if Mr. Biden goes off topic or it starts to digress from the question into another topic, Chris Wallace will pull him back in as well. So I expect Mr. Wallace to be he's the most important person to have and the perfect person to have to keep both of these folks in line, to fact check and keep the conversation moving as professionally as possibly he can, which will be very difficult to do based on the inappropriate sometimes and childish behavior of this president. So that's who I'm watching tonight, Chris Wallace.
It's interesting. That's a good take on that. One of our panelists has participated in debates throughout his career. That would be Governor Tom Corbett. Governor, your thoughts heading into this?
First off, my original thought is to call these debates is a loose use of the word debate. They really aren't. Secondly, I think it would be well watched, but I don't think it makes a difference in the opinions of probably 95% of the people right now who have probably already made up their mind. They're not convincing anybody. Much different than back in 1960 with the Kennedy-Nixon debates. What I think it's going to boil down to, it's just like in a football game, who makes the least amount of mistakes? Who can avoid making a major faux pas in that? Because the pundits, as you know, will focus in on that from now until the next debate. And then afterwards, how can you learn from the mistakes that you did make? What are the points? I'll tell you, the two people I would not want to be are the coaches for the debate of how to keep my candidate, whether it's the president or the vice president, in line with what we've been working on with them for the last 2 or 3 weeks to try and keep them on point. Being on point and being concise and being short is actually going to be a lot better than rambling, but I think we're going to hear a lot of rambling.
Interesting. All right, Joe Mystic, your thoughts?
Well, I think there's going to be more of a street game here than anything else. No one will be surprised at how low Trump goes to provoke Joe Biden. He'll say scurrilous things about his family to try to get a rise out of him, knock him off his game. Joe has to respond authentically, but incompletely. He has to show passion, but not anger. He has to be the educated man that he is and not revert to the neighborhood. Some of us could not do that, but I think Joe Biden can do that, and I think he must.
All right, interesting point. I'm going to turn this one around. Keith, what is your biggest fear that could happen tonight for your candidate?
My biggest fear, okay. I mean, I think, like I said from the beginning, and it might have shocked some people, I am looking for the president to look presidential tonight, to have a sense of decorum in this setting, and take advantage of the fact that in all cases except tonight where it's all even, that there is the seal of the presidency of the United States in front of every podium. He holds the highest office in the land. And quite frankly, both economically and with this health situation, America is in crisis. And now more than ever, people generally want to stay the course in crisis if they have confidence in the chief executive. So he has to exude confidence tonight. He has to feel like people can trust that what he's saying he can execute on. And he has to do it in a way that that does not look like he's taking advantage in any way or cheap shots at the potential diminished capacity of his opponents. That's a real concern. I mean, he's not. First of all, they said he was 82. He will be 82, the vice president, if he finishes his first term, of course. He's not 82 now, but 78 is still will be the oldest man ever to take the office, and he's going to have to address that issue, and he has to do it in a very professional way. It cannot look like he's doing it in a way that would people would take offense to challenging somebody's mental capacity. There are legitimate questions that have to be asked, and the president has to do it in a very legitimate and cautious manner. But in the end, I want Donald Trump to look like the man that you want to continue to lead this country through these perilous times.
Stacy, if we stay the course now with Donald Trump, we're done for. People are dying in droves. We have 200,000 plus dead Americans. Our economy's in the tank because of the mishandling of this pandemic. We have mass marches in the streets. We have violence on the fringes of those marches. We don't want to stay the course here. We want to change course, because if we stay the course, we've had it.
Crisis wants a steady hand. Crisis needs leadership. Crisis wants somebody that's going to give reassurance and calm with truth. We don't have that right now. We have somebody who is bringing gasoline to a fire instead of water, instead of calming, instead of healing, instead of unification, instead of a solution, instead of a plan. We get none of that. We get none of that. 250,000 Americans will be dead, God forbid. We're at 200,000 now by the time we get to November 3rd. So the things that concern Keith are exactly the things that this president has, through the facts and through the last 9 months, proved that he is unable to do. And all polling shows you that Americans think that Mr. Biden is better equipped and better suited to handle the Achilles heel of this president. So it is a recipe for disaster for Donald Trump tonight.
All right, before.
I think the fingers, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
I just think the finger's being pointed in the wrong direction. Look at local government. Who are the local leaders in those communities where those riots and things are happening? Who are the local leaders implementing the laws and the guidances from the CDC to address COVID in their community? I think that you got to take that stuff into play too. And with the debate coming up, I don't think, and COVID, I think the government responded in the way it could, the best way it could. I think that the local governments in those communities really had an opportunity to address things in a different manner, whether they're Republican or Democrat. I don't think that we should take that into consideration. It's not, COVID is not one of those things that are going to come back year after year.
Let's hope.
Well, I don't think we know that. I don't think we know that for sure. I think COVID is something that will be around and that we will continue to be concerned about. As far as who has handled it best or how people have handled it, we have seen an assortment of responses because there's been no consistency. There's been no leadership from the top as to how to respond. So people did their best where they were. And whether they were Republicans or Democrats, they did the best where they were. And who's to blame for all of this? I think that we have to look at who's at the top and what they did or didn't do. And that person would indeed be Trump.
All right.
Let me clarify. It won't happen year after year from a federal level in the way they had to respond with the recovery and with the stimulus package that we did. I don't think that would need to be addressed. But do the symptoms and the disease stick around? Yeah, yes. We need a vaccine. We need support from that level. And should our local governments and our state governments continue to address it as something severe? Yes. But I don't think the federal government will have to step in again, hopefully.
All right, we kind of got hijacked from where I wanted to go with this, but that's okay, because I asked Keith what his biggest fear is. So I'm going to turn it back around now. And Joe, since you stepped in and kind of went the other way with it, what's your biggest fear for Mr. Biden tonight?
Well, Joe's a regular guy, and some of the things that are going to be thrown in his direction would probably provoke most regular guys to respond, perhaps without the patience that's required in this situation. My greatest fear is that something would happen that would strike him personally, and we know that Donald Trump is certainly not above personal attacks. It's his stock in trade. It's his trademark. And my greatest fear is that he would say something so hurtful that Joe would respond humanly, but not presidentially.
Governor, you've been through the debates. When you're being coached, are you being coached not to say something sometimes?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things. Don't say this. Don't say that. Joe hit on a very good point, and it applies really to both candidates. You can't overreact to something that is said to you by either the moderator or by the other candidate. You know, you can't let them know that you felt you've been hurt to the quick, and you just got to press on, stay on your message. You should probably have a couple little cards down there that are just reminders that stick on the message, stick on the message, stick on the message, and don't react. Hard to do, I can tell you, sometimes, especially when things are misstated or just bold-faced lies or allegations, and that you can't defend yourself, but you got to just move forward. And keep in mind, you got 2 more debates after this one.
All right.
You know, I take exception, Stacy, to the fact that a lot of people are saying, I'm not sure it's going to change many minds, or I don't know how important this debate is. That's false. The fact is, Joe Biden is not going to win in a landslide, and neither is the President of the United States. This is almost an equally divided country. I talked to a political operative who's handling a lot of the media for the Trump campaign on Wednesday night, and he said they're within the margin of error in all the battleground states right now, even though they're being outspent 3-1. So this is going to come down to states that have millions of people in population. It's going to come down to winning and losing by thousands of votes. Today matters. Tonight matters. I can tell you that people will be watching, and there will be some changes in votes, both among independents and swing Democrats, and I'll be looking for where that goes tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to join Keith in his belief that this is a close race, because we need that to keep our turnout up. You know, we can't afford to have any Democrats take anything for granted.
And Stacy, I would say that as a Democrat, it seems that the bar has been set so low for my candidate's performance that it can only go up. Because we've heard people talk about his mental acuity and faculties, his inability to participate in the debate without a teleprompter. I think there's even been a call for a drug test. So, hey, my candidate has nowhere to go but up. So
And he will go up. The Republicans have they've created a narrative that's going to come back to bite them, and bite them hard tonight and in the debates that follow. And let's not forget the fact that Mr. Trump does not have the temperament that Mr. Biden has, that steady hand narrative we spoke about earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump goes after Chris Wallace not once, but 2 or 3 times with a personal affront to a question he doesn't like.
All right, one final question. We're almost out of time here, and that is off topic as far as the presidential debate goes. But the Senate leadership in the state of Pennsylvania has now petitioning the United States Supreme Court to put a halt to the 3-day extension the counties would receive to count mail-in ballots this November. Will the Supreme Court act on this?
Stacy, that's really a small issue. It's only one tiny piece of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision, and it involves counting ballots that are postmarked by Election Day and come in 3 days later. Now, that's something we've always done for military ballots. That's how we count military ballots. There's always been a 3-day grace period because we know the mail cannot be counted on. Well, we still know that the mail cannot be counted on because of the hijinks that are going on at the United States Postal Service. So this 3-day extension is not a big deal. You know, if it were me, I'd probably say to hell with it and walk away. Okay, you don't want the 3-day extension? You're hurting the military.
Okay.
They're within parameters of established precedent that goes back to the Civil War and beyond. Supreme Court will deny cert, and off we go. Nothing's going to change.
And the whole concept with federalism, you let the states make the decisions because they know best, they live there. I think this would run afoul of that whole federalism policy if the Supreme Court were to take this up.
Governor?
I don't think there's any chance that they're going to hear this. Frankly, with the Senate leadership, I was surprised that they did this, but maybe they felt that to support their base, they needed to take some kind of action.
Yeah, more likely that's why they did it.
All right, great. Well, thank you all for joining us on this pre-debate special of Around the Table. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, and we will see you tomorrow as we do a post-debate analysis. Thanks.
Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Stacy.
you.